he set out how where is no light among the Seo's politics and the chase of how politics on Polar Korea address questions on a probable fracture among the whites building and country division on start negotiations in Pyongyang. For Friday's specifically called UN Safety Justice meet to talk Polar Korea's nuke program, Tillerson claimed how a supported termination of Polar Korea's menacing behavior must happen up negotiations can start. Polar Korea must earn money its way behind to the spreadsheet. In the meanwhile, the US will go on a campaigning to blood pressure Polar Korea diplomatically and financially, he told, as Polar Korea's envoy to the UN looked on. Tillerson added, militarily we are departure to be produced should thing go incorrect. Following Polar Korea's envoy Ga Chantnam aimed the justice and outlined his nation's nuke program as an unavoidable personality defense action versus the US, that was frightened by the unbelievable might of our republic and its nuke strength. Tillerson requested for else opportunity to say and hit behind. Where is but one side how has transferred out illicit flutter of illicit devices, where is but one side how launches transcontinental ballistics rocket technology, how is the Kim mode in Polar Korea, Tillerson told. Polar Koreans, one are accountable for these tensions, they one must get liability for these tensions, and they one can resolve these tensions, Tillerson told. Tillerson told the acts of Polar Korea are a precise infringement of world law how cannot be neglected, and added how the mode must be detained reports. After, in speech to the clique, Tillerson was requested immediately to explanation wherever the US stood on preconditions. He flipped the issue, rejection proposals of Russia and China for a freeze-over for a freeze-over, in that the US would stop war exercises and Polar Korea would halt nuke growth. We are not departure to take preconditions, Tillerson told. Ours communicating channels stay outdoor, he added. Polar Korea knows they're outdoor, they aware wherever the doorway is, they aware wherever to go via the doorway while they wish for. He did not say a link how had emerging in his produced comments, allocated by the country division, on ban over in the date. Tillerson had been set to say how, separately of how move, where are no preconditions for negotiations, nor will we take before conditions of Polar Korea or other. Requested on the shortcoming, the country division's Deputy Minister of Social Sphere, Steve Goldstein, told how no took how out for him. The registrar doesn't say speech for speech of produced speech and plan to supply the speech how will be the largest effective to the auditorium he is address. Tillerson did duel downward on the authorities hard say, though as some countries alerted how US rhetorical and actions are portion of the issue. We include been precise how all options stay on the spreadsheet in the defense of our nationality, but we do not search, nor do we wish, war in Polar Korea, Tillerson told. Same joint state will use all required measures to protect himself versus Polar Korean aggressive, but our expect remnant how public diplomacy will make a solution. But Russia's envoy to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, told, it should be precise to all how the DPRK is barely departure to chorus of its nuke rocket program time it feels a straight risk to its safety. Relating to collaborative war drills the US conducts in southward Korea, Nebenzia told, really the is how Pyongyang evaluates the routine broad-scale maneuver and exercises by the joint state and its allies in the area. In the facility of such a stress, one ill-mined out or misinterpreted move could conduct to deplorable ensuing consequences, the Ruski told, precautionary of a politics of reciprocal blood pressure and bullying. He disputed Tillerson, interrogative the U.S. obligation to conclusion a peace solution. He marked how following on 2 months of peaceful on Polar Korea's portion, the U.S. detained large war drills in southward Korea and later announced it was placement Pyongyang on a listing of country sponsors of terror. All of these stares strength us to miracle on the honesty of statements how propose how where is a priority for a peace attitude to allowing the meltdown in DPRK, Nebenzia told. China's envoy supported Russia's rebukes. Same present position on the peninsula is not inflicted by any one side one and he's unjust to levy on any one affiliate the liability for allowing it, told China's vice constant member to the Joint Nations Ambassador Wu Haidao. He named for dialogue, an end to U.S. war exercises, and an end to reciprocal accusing. Tillerson discarded the reason how the U.S. drill any accuse and done precise how where would be no allow up in his campaigning to compress polar Korea and constantly suffocate off its tactful channels and tool of finance supporting. How campaigning, he told, must be taking into account period to prosper. Polar Korea's increasing capabilities represent a straight risk to our safety and the safety of the whole planet, Tillerson told. We do not consider the complaint as an blank risk. In the person of such a risk, omission is inappropriate for any nationality. The U.S. is though more than established to go on its peace blood pressure campaigning, Tillerson told, in the purpose of installation the facility for Polar Korea to attract in severe talks in the direction the full, verifiable, and permanent refusal of its nuke arms programmed. The top U.S. briefcase, who met Thursday in Trump Card and Defense Registrar James Mattis, forced countries in the chamber to do more than rather than fair encounter the email of UN Safety Justice resolutions authorizing Polar Korea, and named out Moscow and Beijing in special. Ongoing to enable Polar Korean laborers to hard work in slavery-like facility within Russia in exchanging for salary utilized to Foundation Nuke Arms program telephone call in issue Russia's devotion as a affiliate for World, Tillerson told. As China wet oil fluid to Polar Korean refineries, the joint state questions China's obligation to solution and question how has severe implications for the safety of its own countrymen, he added. Tillerson stretched how problem to some countries how include been sluggish to completely carry out current resolutions on Polar Korea, proverb how it telephone call in issue if yours voice is a obligation to speech just, but not actions. Growing tensions among the U.S. and Polar Korea, that carried out its greatest nuke testing in September and fired off a strong intercontinental ballistic missile in deceased November, include grown profound anxiety world. It is same largest strained and hazardous safety position in the planet present, UN Safety General Antonio Guterres said the UN as the meet outdoor. Guterres told he was worried on unintentional rise or blunder, that he told was creature enlarged by irrelevant trust, hazardous narratives and the absence of communication channels.